It seems almost commonplace in the last year and a half that there are critical news stories happening at any given time, so much so that your average person can't even keep track of it. But those of us who have been paying close attention understand the critical nature of each one of these individual cases, their effects on society right now and in the future. Because these things are deemed sensitive topics, I don't even know how to get around or create some type of code or slang to dance around the details of this. So I just have to just say it, because I think it's important that we all stay aware. Because one thing that happens as a result of people reading only headlines and not taking the time to look into the depth and true nature of what's really happening in a particular case or news story or headline or whatever is that the very specific details that require time and effort to understand are all hidden from somebody that just takes a quick few minutes to look it over and then decides to ultimately sound off and distribute some type of opinion on the matter when they haven't even taken the time to really go through it. You see this constantly done by celebrities or public figures who have massive distribution and massive platforms, and people who will, in a lot of ways, just agree with them because they trust their opinion or really like them or have been following them and believe that they are great at whatever particular industry they're in. And it's not even just celebrities. It's not necessarily just your LeBron James or your Chelsea handlers of the world. It's also political figures and supposed leaders. They'll just weigh in on a subject so that people start choosing sides in the court of public opinion without any time to look into the true details or nature of a case, to look into the facts, to let time play out the truth. I follow people that have differing opinions than mine because I like to try to look into the things that they're thinking about and see whether or not I agree with it. It's important to look at both sides or all of the sides of any argument or any perspective on things to see which ones you agree with. You don't want to just sit in an echo chamber of thoughts that you will already believe and already would follow no matter what blindly. It's important to take each individual perspective in each individual case and look at it from an objective outside view and say, all right, this is my position on this. Generally speaking, people that do that find things that they tend to agree with more often than not, but I look at every single case and every single article this way, and that's why I follow lots of, I suppose you could say, woke accounts. And the one that I'm seeing today is the case of a Pennsylvania teenager by the name of Christian Hall. And I'm going to do the best that I can to leave out some of the finite details of the case because it's important that A, you look it up and research it yourself, especially if you're concerned about the topic, and don't just take my word for it. And B, because you can't say anything anymore because you're not allowed to. So read between the lines, look up the article, and you'll understand what I'm saying. Now, the article that I saw that was shared on this account was from NBC News, and it said, Pennsylvania teen had his hands up when he was blank blank by the Pennsylvania State blank. Blue uniform, I hate everything. So it's like, okay, Pennsylvania teen. First of all, this man was a 19-year-old man. Yes, he's technically a teenager, but when you're 19 years old, sorry, but you're a man. Of course, the headline says teen, as is customary, sensational. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Teen could be anywhere from 13 to 19, so you immediately have to look into it. You have to go to the article. You have to scroll down. You have to find out. Okay, the headline, he had his hands up. That is kind of, okay, is there some presumed innocence? Obviously, if there's this article, oh, it's sensational, why do I have to figure this out? So you have a teenager, you don't know, had his hands up, okay, seems like he shouldn't have blanked as a result of this, but all right, let's see. Literally, first sentence, first words, a Chinese American teenager, literally right out of the gate, has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Nothing. He's just a person, a human person. But of course they start with that because they got to set the narrative. Now I'll let you read the article and look into the details of the case, and there's video evidence of this. But the point is that this was a very troubled young man, and this person was standing on an overpass with a thing that you hold in your hand that could cause a lot of harm that lots of people are talking about. Ugh. Now, at the end, this guy was standing on this overpass and talking to the people wearing blue, everything's trash, for 90 minutes. And in the last 14 seconds of this altercation, that is when this person had his hands up. And if you watch the video, Obviously, you're only looking at the last minute, forgetting the previous 90. Now, this was a troubled person that had been diagnosed with issues in the past, had altercations in the past, had a record, spent time, you know? So it's like, this is not just a casual day strolling in the park, right? Now, as you watch the news coverage and look at how people are so upset about this case, I'm not trying to weigh in on the case. I just want to make a very specific point. They bring up this, right? Or the makeup of the origin of his whatever. You can't say things, but whatever, which has nothing to do with it. And then, of course, naturally, Benjamin Crumpets, the most garbaggio, grifting attorney in the history of human existence, is the attorney on the case. Benjamin lying, money grifting Crumpets at the forefront of everything, every emotional grift imaginable. And this totally lying, baiting grifter is on TV pulling his typical standard grift, as he is known to Crumpet. And what does this Crumpet have to say? Oh, well, he had his hands up. That's the sign of surrender. How could they have done this? And it's like, bro, did you watch the video, you lying grifter? Because these people in blue repeatedly, over a course of 90 minutes, asked this very troubled young man, who was clearly in a bad situation, for 90 minutes to drop the thing in his hand that posed a serious risk of harm to other people, including them. And not only did this person refuse to drop it, but if you look at the way that it was being held, you're talking a split second from a slight turn of hand. And that's it for those people in blue. These people, the people that are in our mainstream media, and these totally lying, money-grubbing grifters like Benjamin Garbage Crumpets would rather somebody that's on the good side, somebody that's defending us, all of the rest of the citizens. They would rather them be put centimeters from harm's way, a split second from harm's way, instead of doing their job. This person made a decision, and there is absolutely no personal responsibility held by anybody anymore. Nobody cares about taking responsibility for your own actions. And as this lack of personal responsibility becomes commonplace, the general zeitgeist of people, the general disposition of everyday people is like, oh my God, how could it be this way? Every single case is tied to another case. Every single instance is tied to another instance. Every single thing has to do with skin or whatever else. Things that are completely unrelated to each individual thing. You can't lump them all together. You have to look at the nature of each individual thing and understand that there are split-second decisions that go between somebody having something really bad happen or something not. And people have to make those decisions in real time. And then all of a sudden, Monday morning quarterback Benjamin J. Grifting Crumpets comes in and has some blame to associate, because all he wants to do is emotionally manipulate you and all the people of the world so he can extract as much cash as possible. Because this Crumpet, like so many others, is shameless in the face of cash, of opportunity. They don't care about this person. All they care about is manipulating you and essentially extracting cash from the state, from the taxpayer, from you, from everyone, so that they can further the narrative, further their personal stock. And absolutely nothing is resolved by this. The situation and the outcome is exactly the same. No one cares about the personal responsibility of this person. Yet you're going to try to take these people that were defending the rest of us. You're going to try to take them to task on this. Unbelievable. Huge waste of time. The lack of personal responsibility and the willingness to grift and extract as much value as possible for one's own interests at the expense of humanity at large is remarkable. And what interesting timing this is, considering the day that today is, the certain thing that's happening in that room in Wisconsin today. Another example of personal responsibility not being considered. These people would rather that somebody else loses their ability to exist, live on this earth as a result so that they can further their agenda, so they can further their understanding of how it's supposed to have done, not considering the real split-second decisions that go into things that happen in the real world. And as lack of personal responsibility and the blame game becomes commonplace, and every single person is a headline reader, a sensationalist, somebody that's going to share without going into the details of the case, lump every single instance together as if they can all be tied to one another, and there's no outlier, there's no difference, there's nothing that can be taken just at face value, objectively looking at the individual thing that occurred. As a result of this is why we have so many problems. This is why everything is so emotionally manipulated. This is why the people that don't take enough time to pay attention to the true nature of a story, this is why we're in this mess. Because the people that really want to take advantage of you, they see this clear as day, and they slide right into place so that they can take advantage of what is so clear and obvious, how easy it is to manipulate large masses of people. Because by that point, the damage is done. It doesn't matter anymore. The court of public opinion is the only opinion. If you can emotionally manipulate people to take certain actions, you can convince them to create intimidation, threats, problems, throw a wrench in the whole operation. You can go outside of the traditional process by which things are occurred and justice is actually served. And you can just have mob justice, mob rule, emotional manipulation at scale, and thus you can take advantage of every single person that's not willing to look further in with any depth. And any person that dare look into it, go further beyond, well, how dare you? They didn't even take the time to find out for themselves, but they know that this is something that you would do. What did you do? Research it? That's unreal. I can't believe you would do that. And then the powers that be come in to suppress that thought, to suppress that discernment, suppress that dissent. And here we are, a perfect example of why everything is happening right now. I would encourage you to, maybe do more research and decide for yourself. Look up that case. Look into the details of what's happening in that other one today. Look what happens as a result of however they choose about that guy, right? Think about that. Understand that no matter what, we all already lost. Because the real problem today is lack of personal responsibility and the outrage mob. If people could just be a little bit more independent with their thinking, a little bit more critical with their thinking, do a little bit more research, not take it at face value through the mainstream sources and decide for themselves, the world would be a better place.